This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to my recap of the last 3 episodes of The Bad Batch. As a reminder, I am including last week's episode, The Harbinger, because I just did not have any time to record last week, so I pushed it to be with this one. So let's go straight into it. Omega chases after Batcher into a cave where she discovers a ship. She quickly sees the pilot of the ship, and at the same time, the Bad Batch are discussing Fennec's contact, but quickly realize something is wrong. They go down and figure out that this is Fennec's contact who's managed to track them down. And she begins to explain to the Bad Batch what midi-chlorians are and why they're important and could connect someone to the Force. Omega thinks that she might be a Jedi and asks if this woman could train her. She agrees, and the two go to begin to do tests. The Batch watch from a distance, but Crosshair, who checked in on Tech's old files, recognizes that this is Asajj Ventress, a separatist war criminal who is responsible for the murder of multiple clones, and they go to confront her about this. Knowing this is going on, Ventress sends Omega to the top of the island to go get a white flower off of the tree at the tip of the mountain, and she must do this before the sunset completes. Omega runs off and runs into Batcher, who she asks for a ride since there's no way she could reach the top of the mountain without her. And Ventress begins to talk to the clones, who begin to question her and what she really wants from Omega. Ventress tries to reassure them, but a fight breaks out. Ventress throws their blasters away and begins to fight them hand to hand. She manages to beat them down pretty well until Crosshair is able to get to their blasters and rearms the Batch. Meanwhile, Omega has reached the top of the mountain and managed to pick the white flower and begins to head back down. The Bad Batch begin to open fire on Ventress, and she eventually pushes them back and is holding them down. Omega comes in on this and begins to question what's going on. As Hunter tries to explain, Ventress tells him that things have changed since the end of the war and that they're on the same side now. The Batch agree to let her be for the moment and go on the Marauders to discuss things. And Hunter and Crusher both point out that it's a bad idea to trust her, but Omega points out that she hasn't done anything to harm them and easily could have killed them. She also points out that she had faith in Crosshair to be able to change, even though they have doubts that Ventress could change. She has confidence that she did. So the Bad Batch agree to let Ventress test Omega to see if she is Force sensitive. Omega's final test is to go out to the middle of the sea and try and connect with the Force. The Bad Batch watch from a distance, but Ventress is able to spot them, and Wrecker wonders how she's able to do that. Omega is not able to connect to the Force, and she asks Ventress how it's possible. Ventress shows her by using it to summon a bunch of fish that circle the ship, but this unknowingly summons a larger fish that comes and begins to attack them. Still watching, the Bad Batch head to the Marauder to go and try and save them. Ventress goes underwater to rescue Omega, and the Bad Batch begin to open fire on the large fish. Omega then tells them to back off as Ventress has this. Ventress is able to use the Force to go and calm the creature down, and it leaves. They then help both Omega and Ventress onto the ship and head out. They then go and talk to Ventress, who tells them that Omega is not Force sensitive and should consider herself lucky because that would make her a high priority target. Omega says that she already is and heads off with Wrecker. Ventress then warns Crosshair and Hunter that they should not be on Pabu anymore. If she was able to track Omega here, the Empire will be able to. Both Hunter and Crosshair think she's lying about something, but Ventress doesn't say anything about it, and she gets into her ship and leaves the planet. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, a mother and her child go shopping. The mother places her child down for just a moment so she can go and look at flowers, but the child drops his toy and goes to pick it up, but has to get a vase out of the way first. This startles and disturbs the people who realize that a baby shouldn't have that strength. Now they begin to talk about it as the mother takes her kid away. They mention they shouldn't be saying anything because it could be getting people in trouble. But one of the people watching, an Aqualish, goes and contacts a bounty hunter to try and get a payout for this information. Meanwhile, Dr. Hemlock continues his research, and Emery goes to meet with him. She says that the experiments have went to a halt after Nalise was imprisoned. Hemlock says that was necessary, and Emery says that she understands, but they need a new head scientist, saying that it should be her. Hemlock agrees and brings her into Project Necromancer. There she is brought before multiple children who are being experimented on, and although she does try to go and be friendly to them, Hemlock tells her not to when they are only test subjects. Meanwhile, the mother and her child are spending time together, but Cad Bane breaks in, shoots her with a stun blast, and begins to test the child's blood. After confirming that the child is force sensitive, he tells Toto to take the child. Toto does so, and to keep the baby quiet, gives him his toy, and the two go to bring the bounty to the Empire. After they go and pay off the Aqualish who gave them the tip. Not listening to Hemlock, Emery begins to get to know the test subjects and realizes that they are children that were kidnapped and just want to return home. Moving to another one, he steals the datapad of hers and tries to use it to escape, but an alarm is set off before he can do so, and Scorch comes in, shooting him with a stun blast, even though Emery demands he doesn't do it. Scorch only replies that it was an escape attempt and he had to use appropriate force. Emery then has to reassure one of the children that he will be okay and wouldn't be punished for this, even though she doesn't have control over that. She then goes to meet with Nalise to see what is going on, and Nalise said that she did have her problems and tried to help them out the best that she could, but her priority was to protect Omega, and she tells Emery that she could be able to help them and she's in a position to do so. Emery then goes to meet with Hemlock and Scorch, and Hemlock says that Scorch is going to pick up another asset for the program, and Emery demands to go along. Hemlock says he will let her do this, and he goes off to meet with Wilhuff Tarkin. Hemlock and Tarkin discuss many things, as Hemlock says he can't reveal what his project's about. Tarkin says there'll be big problems for him if he can't keep his spending down and doesn't have any results. They then sign off, and Hemlock begins to look at the different prototypes he has for his experiments. He then contacts Clone X, who says he has tracked down Sid and got information on someone the Bad Batch is in contact with, and is following up on that lead. Emery and Scorch arrive above Coruscant to meet with Cad Bane. After meeting with him, Emery goes to check on the child, realizing it's a baby. She does do a test to make sure he is force sensitive, and disappointingly to her, he is. She then watches as Bane is paid and they return to Tantus. Emery tries to check on the young child, but gets no real updates from the medical droids. She then goes to check on another, who is angry at her for lying to her about her friend not being punished for his escape attempt. She finally goes back to her office and begins to look through the files of different people, including Omega, and decides to leave the doll Omega made for one of the children. Meanwhile, Fee goes and lands at a space station to get her ship refueled. While it happens, Clone X infiltrates her ship and begins to download her flight log, and after he does that, he sneaks off. Fee is suspicious and thinks someone's on her ship, but once she reaches the boarding ramp, she realizes no one is there. But Clone X has managed to get the information and escapes. Discovering the location of Pabu, he goes and contacts Scorch to tell him that he has found the potential location of Omega. Scorch tells him to go and search for her, and if he finds her, to contact him again. And he'll send an army that he is preparing to reinforce him. Meanwhile, on Pabu, the clones have taken Ventress's warning into account and are preparing to leave the island. Omega goes and says goodbye to her one good friend there and leaves as a memorial text glasses and her doll to have a memory of them on this island forever, since she doesn't know if she'll ever be able to return. Meanwhile, Rex filling up the ship with as many supplies as possible, since they don't know how long they'll be out. Clone X lands on the planet and begins to scout out for Omega. He is eventually able to find her and gets in contact with the Empire to go and send their forces to his location. He is also informed to kill and destroy anything that will get in his way of his objective. The batch go and make their final goodbyes with the people of Habu, and they're told they can return anytime. Wrecker is loading the final crates onto the Marauder when Clone X shoots multiple explosives onto the ship. Wrecker is able to notice it and begins to run and grabs Gonki to save him, but they are just a little too late, and both are thrown into the water by the massive explosion, destroying the Marauder. Reaching to Wrecker's location, who was pulled out of the water, the rest of the batch are relieved to see that he is still alive, but know that this was no accident, which is quickly confirmed as a Venator-class Star Destroyer appears over the island and launches multiple gunships filled with troops. Wrecker is brought up to be treated, and the others go to hide. Clone X meets with his troopers and orders them to bomb every ship and every boat so Omega has no chance of escape. They follow the orders exactly and destroy every non-Imperial ship on the island. Realizing that there is no way out and all communications are being jammed, the batch make a plan for Hunter to go and steal a gunship and be able to get out far enough to contact Echo to organize rescue, while Crosshair goes with Omega to Wrecker so they could all be together and protect their brother. They agree to do this and head out. Meanwhile, the mayor and head of Pabu goes and confronts the Imperials, saying they have no right to be here and destroy their stuff. Clone X simply responds that they're hiding a fugitive here and that they'll do whatever they have to get them. And if they don't cooperate, they'll be soon burning down houses and destroying the island until she is found. This is followed by people being pulled out of their homes as it is searched from top to bottom by Imperial troops. As they're trying to sneak up, they find multiple troopers, and Batcher decides to cause a distraction, wanting to protect the people of the island. Although Omega wants to go after him, Crosshair says that Batcher can look after herself, and they need to continue moving up. So they do so, and eventually make it to Wrecker. Omega then looks out upon the city and sees how the people are being treated and realizes this is all her fault. She feels very guilty about this and doesn't want this to continue. Hunter fights through Imperial troops as he heads towards a gunship that is launching. He makes it on and knocks the troops off. The pilot tries to fly around crazy to knock him off, and Omega and Crosshair watch this. The pilot says he can't do anything to get him off, and Clone X simply executes the pilot, causing the shuttle to crash into the ocean. Knowing it is inevitable and not wanting anyone else to be hurt, Omega decides that she's going to give herself up to the Imperials to end all this. Crosshair strictly disagrees with her But Omega points out that there's no real choice, and this is the only way for them to find the location of Tantus, that she'll be able to sneak a communicator with her and use it to transmit their location and get everyone to Tantus. Crosshair points out that the Imperials will simply find that, and she says that then Crosshair would be able to shoot a tracker onto the ship that she's taken away in and track her to Tantus. Crosshair again disagrees with her, but knowing that Omega is going to be doing this no matter what, reluctantly agrees to the plan. As Imperials prepare to go and burn down the homes of Pabu, Omega comes to them to surrender. Clone X, sensing a trap, has her scanned and, as Crosshair predicted, finds Omega's tracking device. She gives it to him and then is taken away by them. Hunter pulls himself back to the island and begins with Batcher to head towards the city. Omega is brought on board Clone X's shuttle as Crosshair goes and tries to fight off Imperial troops who discovered him as he tries to shoot the tracking device onto Clone X's ship. He attempts to do so after taking out the troops, but is just a second too late and the ship flies away as the tracking device goes to the spot it was only a second before. And now disappointed Omega waits on board Clone X's ship as he contacts the Imperials to let them know that he has the target and is bringing her to Mount Tantus.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.